He stepped out of the sleek black sedan and adjusted his tailor-made navy blazer. The mid-morning sun glinted off the polished chrome of his watch. Marcus Davenport inhaled deeply, the scent of freshly cut grass and late-blooming roses swimming through the gated entrance. He owned every building on this block, every shop, every storefront, every rent check, and today he'd come for one more. His leather loafers clicked crisply on the flagstone path as he approached the modest two-story brick house with the peeling white trim. Paint flaked from the window frames, the front lawn patchy where grass fought stubbornly against weeds. A rosebush by the porch sagged under the weight of unworn blossoms. It was hardly the sort of place he invested in, but the rent checks had stopped a month ago. 2 months ago, he'd sent notices, calls, letters, no response. He'd made that clear. No rent, no roof. At the porch steps, he straightened his tie and gripped the registered eviction notice. The black letterhead bore his signature and the formal warning. He knocked sharply. No answer. The door stood closed, curtains drawn. Marcus pressed on the handle, unlocked. Inside, dim light and the smell of stale air greeted him. Beneath his polished shoes, the hardwood floor felt dry and uneven. He cleared his throat. "Hello? Justin? You in here?" Silence. He slipped through the doorway, eyes scanning. A hallway led past a small living room where a single couch sagged under the weight of forgotten afternoons. An old television sat, off to one side. On the coffee table, a coloring book lay open, crayons scattered as if a sudden departure had occurred. He frowned and stepped forward, his footsteps muffled by a thin rug. "Justin?" he called again, louder. He reached the kitchen, where a half-empty carton of milk sat on the counter, a spoon resting against the edge of a bowl. The refrigerator hummed, its door shut tight. Marcus flicked on the overhead light. Bulbs buzzed and flickered before steadying. He had come to evict a tenant, but he expected a man. Angry, belligerent at worst. Instead, he found a house frozen in mid-moment. A soft sound came from the back room. 2 voices almost whispering. One higher, sweet and thin. The other deeper, richer but still unmistakably childlike. He paused at the doorway. His expensive shoes scuffed the threshold. Inside, 2 little girls knelt on a faded patchwork quilt. One was slender with dark, tightly coiled hair pulled into 2 puffs. She wore a pink t-shirt and shorts decorated with daisies. The other, slightly younger, with soft brown curls and a shy lean, wore a lavender dress splattered with paint marks. Both were lined up before a series of small wooden blocks, stacked in precarious towers. They talked in quiet tones. "Shh," whispered the younger one, placing a tiny plastic elephant atop a red block. "Don't make it fall." "It's okay," the older reassured. Her voice carried a confident calm that belied her age. "Just be gentle, we can do this." They didn't notice him standing there. He cleared his throat. They both startled, jiggled the quilt, nearly toppling bricks of wood and plastic. "Mr. Davenport?" said the older girl, eyes wide. "Why are you here?" The name sliced the air. He realized they had names, and they knew his, the millionaire landlord who evicted people by the dozens each year. He dug in his pocket, pulled the eviction notice. "I'm here about the rent," he said brusquely. "It's overdue." They exchanged a glance. The older's lower lip trembled. The younger's big brown eyes brimmed. "Our mommy," the older began, voice quaking. "She works 2 jobs. She tried to call you, but her phone broke. Then the bills piled up." He took a step back. He'd heard it all before. Sob stories, excuses, promises to pay next week. But he'd never been to one of their houses. To face with 2 black little girls alone, waiting for their mother at some unknown hour. "Where is she?" he asked, clearing his throat again. "She's at work," said the younger, voice tiny. "She had to stay late. She'll be back soon." He glanced at the clock above the stove, 11:10. Not too late for her second shift. He folded his arms, heart racing in a way he'd learned to ignore. These were not tenants on paper. These were 2 lives. "I have to do my job," he said in the way he'd been taught. Firm, unyielding. The rent is $1,500. It's 2 months behind, so that's $3,000 plus late fees, you understand? Mommy will pay, the older insisted. She said she would. He cleared his throat. If she doesn't, I will. Have to file eviction. You know what that means. The girls leaned forward, eyes wide. Please don't, cried the younger. We'll pay, I promise. Marcus felt the weight of his gaze. He thought of the margins on each rental property, the investor calls he'd handle if he didn't keep occupancy high. Empty houses meant red ink. Red meant danger, and danger meant losing investments, status, the empire he'd spent a lifetime building. He looked at the crayon drawings tacked to the refrigerator door. Sun smiling over a crooked house, hearts in bright reds, stick figure families. He had never thought of eviction in those terms, but here it was, real as the blocks beneath the girl's knees. Tell me your names, he said softly. Brianna, said the older. And I'm 5. Alia, said the younger. And I'm 3, he breathed out, feeling a lump in his throat. At that moment, the front door clicked. A woman rushed in, exhaustion etched deep in her shoulders, uniform rumpled. She looked up, startled by the stranger in her home. Marcus, she whispered, voice cracking. He's here. He held up the notice. I'm sorry. I need to talk about rent. Tears welled in her eyes. I know. I'm so sorry. She turned back to the girls. Girls, it's okay. Mr. Davenport is just doing his job. Aaliyah clung to her mother's leg, tears streaming. Mommy, don't make him take our house. I won't, the mother choked out. I promise. Marcus watched as the mother knelt on the floor, hugging her daughters. She fell into silence, head bent. He waited, watching, the eviction notice trembling in his hand. She looked up at him. I lost my phone. I've been borrowing money to try to make ends meet. I'm doing everything I can. I have 1 paycheck pending. I can pay the back rent, I swear to you. He studied her weary face, hair in a messy bun, grease stains on her, uniform, eyes red-rimmed from crying. She looked like every American mother fighting to keep her family whole. He cleared his throat. I need the payment by Monday. She nodded fiercely. Monday, she said. I'll have it. He handed over the notice. This states Monday at noon. If not, I legally have to proceed. She accepted it with trembling hands. The girls peeked around her legs, eyes wide. Brianna reached out and touched his expensive shoes. Are we going to lose our home, Mr. Davenport? He looked down at her, trying to summon a stern word but finding none. Instead, he knelt, so his suit coat brushed the floor. He held her little hand in his. Not if your mommy keeps her promise, he said quietly. She nodded, mouth set in determination. He turned to Aaliyah. And you, princess, you tell your mommy, okay? She nodded, her tears dried. He glanced at the mother. Monday, she managed a shaky smile. He rose, straightened his blazer. For the first time in years, he felt uneasy about a property. He had spent decades building an empire on contracts and clear lines, but today those lines blurred. He walked back to his car, the gravel crunching under his shoes. He closed the door, sank into the leather seat. He sat for a moment, breathing. His phone buzzed, calls from investors asking about occupancy rates. He swiped his lock screen, ignored them. He thought about those 2 girls, Brianna with her confident older sister tone, Aaliyah with her trembling plea not to lose her home. He thought of how easy it was to send someone a notice, and how hard it was to face the consequences in living color. Monday at noon, he reminded himself. He would have to follow through if she didn't pay. But somehow he doubted she wouldn't. He felt a strange pull to check in, to see if they were okay. His secretary would say no. No extra work. No compassion in business. He started the engine. As he pulled away, he glanced in the rearview mirror. The three of them, mother and two daughters, stood at the doorway waving. Brianna gave him a thumbs up. Aaliyah's tiny hand fluttered. His heart clenched. He stood that afternoon in his office, blinds drawn against the glare of midday. He stared at his computer screen, a chart showing occupancy rates, past due notices, revenue projections. His assistant knocked and placed an envelope on his desk. He ripped it open. A check for $1,500 stamped at the bank today. He stared, incredulous. A note in shaky handwriting. More to come Monday. Thank you for your mercy. God bless Tanya Williams. He leaned back, looked at the city skyline through the tinted window. Mercy. A word he rarely encountered in business. Reports. He closed his eyes, thought of the girls, of Brianna's confidence and Aaliyah's plea. He tapped the check against his desk. The next day brought rain. He found himself walking to their home again, this time without notice or letter, without business suits or investors' questions. He wore a casual navy sweater and jeans, mingling with the neighborhood crowd carrying umbrellas. He stopped at the door, looked up at the peeling trim, the aging rose bush now bent beneath raindrops. He knocked. Tanya answered, her uniform replaced by a simple blouse and worn jeans. She gasped, surprised. Mr. Davenport? He held up a small envelope. Got this from the bank. You cleared the first half. Her eyes welled. I'm so sorry it took so long. He smiled gently. Keep going. If anything, call me. I want to help you stay. She shook her head. Thank you. Thank you so much.